Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building. You guys know what time it is. Welcome to the latest installment of Coffee and Convo. I am your host, Graphk Raider Man. Salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys for rocking with me on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning. Make sure you guys wipe them feet. Around here, that means get those likes up and also hit that subscribe button. I wanted to do this show a little bit earlier, you guys. I know I had it scheduled a little later, but we have another show in a few hours with my brother Paul, NFL agent. We're going to be speaking to him about the whole Micah Parsons, Christian Wilkins agent, organization, player relationship. So stay tuned for that. So I wanted to do this show a little earlier than usual. Hopefully my people on the West Coast are up, active, alive. But salute to Green Dot Gang Heavy. I see you guys, man. Big Mo, my brother Demon King is in the building. Salute to my guy. Appreciate you, my brother. There's a lot to talk about today, you guys. A move last night. I was going to go. I said, you know what, man? It's a little emotional last night. I said, let me sleep on this a little bit, because I didn't want to go live and then just, people like, here goes Graphk, freaking out, so on and so forth. Well, guess what? I slept on this situation, and I feel the exact same way, okay? For those who don't know what I'm talking about, last night, our Raiders made a move. We traded Jakorian Bennett to the Philadelphia Eagles for defensive tackle Thomas Booker. Okay, now, Jakorian is a guy that I've been high on since we drafted him out of Maryland, former fourth-round pick. A guy that, was our starter last season, shoulder injury, put him out for the season. Looked as though he was in immaculate shape coming into this season. A lot of people were saying that he didn't fit, the mold of Pete Carroll, 5'11", almost 6 foot. He didn't fit that build, that the mold of a Pete Carroll-esque defensive back. We're hearing that he's playing with the ones, the twos, the threes, the fours. Yesterday he's out there at Henderson. He comes up with a big pass breakup on Colin Johnson, the 6'5", 6'6" wide receiver. And we're thinking, okay, well, maybe, they're going to find some type of role for Jakorian Bennett, whether it's a starting role or not. Jakorian, will probably make this roster because we're already thin in that position group, right? Well, a report comes out. I believe Vinny B was the one to say it, that the Raiders have been shopping Jakorian Bennett for the last few weeks. And, to my surprise, I'm like, wow, okay, so I guess we really were trying to move on from him. I know that they love, Eric Stokes. I know that they love Darian Porter. It's getting, more and more every day. We're starting to see that they really love Cameron Richardson. And then JT Woods, the new addition, they like him a ton as well because he fits that mold of what Pete Carroll likes with his cornerbacks, right? So cool. Me personally, you guys, and I want to say this real fast, and I tweeted this morning, okay? When I'm optimistic, like I always am, it's, oh my God, Graphk is a shield for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's always this, and that. He's praising every move. And then when I'm a little pessimistic, it's an issue. It's, oh, I'm a fake fan. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't believe in this regime. Well, guess what? I believe that this was a mistake. Anytime Howie Roseman comes calling, you guys, you have to question the motives behind this. Howie Roseman is the finesse god, okay? He knows how to draft. He knows how to make trades. This guy is the best general manager in football for a reason. We moved on from Jakorian Bennett for another need, right? Defensive tackle, which is great. Cool. I understand, and we'll talk about Thomas Booker here in a second. But when Howie Roseman comes calling, you have to kind of pump the brakes a little bit like, man, you know what? This dude is just like Dixon, the boogeyman of the NFL. It's the boogeyman. When he comes calling, there's a plan in motion, and he knows what he's doing. Look, Jakorian may not start out there in Philadelphia come year one. And look, Thomas Booker was kind of lost in the shuffle out there at the defensive tackle position. I've spoken to several Philadelphia Eagles fans. They were pissed that they lost him. They felt like he was a great depth piece, but their D-line is just so deep that they had to move on from him, right? And he's still young, which is great. He fits a role on this team at the defensive tackle position. We are, very thin there at that position group as well. So it's cool. It's all right. It's all right. Swap for swap. But I have this nagging suspicion, you guys, that Howie Roseman is going to, at some point, even though Jakorian, 24, 25 years old, he may not get it done this year. They're going to end up turning this guy into a Pro Bowl-like corner. I mean, they're already deep out there at that position group, which was kind of a shocker. I'm like, wow, Philly went and added another corner. They already have Quinyon Mitchell. They have Cooper DeJean. They have Kelly Ringo, the former Georgia product. They just brought in Adoree Jackson, the former USC guy. They have a ton of weapons there at the defensive back position already, specifically the cornerback position. I know Cooper DeJean can play some safety as well, and so on and so forth. But this is a guy, once again, a former fourth-round pick that, only played in 11 games last season. He missed a ton of ball games because, I think he played in 10. Was it 10, 11 games last season? I forgot how many games he actually played. He played in 10. He started in 7 last year for us, and he was one of the better cover corners in football when he was on the field. And it looks as though he is healthy right now. I just personally feel like this is going to be a move that could potentially at some point down the line come back to bite us in the ass. And I see a lot of people using that, and I'm going to bring this up real quick, using the concept of, well, look, we brought in former Eagles senior director of scouting, Brandon Hunt, right? We brought him in as our vice president of player personnel under the new general manager, John Spytek, a guy that is heavily respected around NFL circles. And once again, a guy that is a scout at heart. So he knows what Thomas Booker is more than anybody, including myself or anybody else on that coaching staff right now, including Pete Carroll and whoever else it is. So I understand the thought process of, hey, let Brandon Hunt do his job. He sees something here. Maybe this thing could work with Thomas Booker, right? And I'm not, once again, beating up on Thomas Booker. He's only played in 27 games in his career. He played in all 17 last year. He started in 1 game, but there's not a ton of stats here. I mean, 33 combined tackles, 19 solo. This is career-wise, you guys, in 2 seasons. 14 assists, 3 tackles for a loss, 3 QB hits. He has 1.5 sacks in his career, was drafted to the Houston Texans, former 5th-round pick, was with the Eagles last year, won a championship with them. So there's the Super Bowl pedigree, right? He's a champion. I get it. I understand the move, but I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles got the better player in the deal. Now, can Thomas Booker come in and shock a lot of us? Definitely. And I'm going to read this message that I got real quick, you guys, and take this as you may, and salute real quick to my guy, Marco. My guy's an actor. He's been in New York working on some things for a while, from California. Salute to my guy, Marco. He just did. This is what he had to say to me, you guys. He sent me a DM last night and he said, Graphk, I just produced a USAA spot in New Jersey, a commercial with Lane Johnson. Lane says this dude, Thomas Booker, will be a Pro Bowler in a couple of years, just an FYI. Then he went on to say, he said, dude is a beast. He has all the tools. And if he keeps working and is coached upright, which we have Rob Leonard, Pete Carroll, Graham in the building, coached upright, he will be a Pro Bowler in the next few seasons. He also went on to say, my cousin Nick Bonito was a great young player, is about to get a crazy contract, in which it happened, right? So on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. But he went on to say that with the right coaching staff around, this guy has all the tools, if coached up right, to become a Pro Bowler in the next few years. I believe in Rob Leonard. I believe in Patrick Graham. I believe in Pete Carroll. So we'll see where this thing is. Once again, you guys, Thomas Booker is still really, really young. So there's a chance that he can crack this rotation and potentially be one of the better defensive tackles in that group. Great. I hope it happens. But once again, at the expense of losing Jakorian Bennett, when we're already thin in that group, you guys, it's kind of puzzling to me because I don't care if he's 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot. You're going into this season worrying, or putting all your chips in the Eric Stokes sweepstakes. This guy has missed 20 games the last 3 seasons, you guys. Yes, he played in all 17 games last year. He started in 7 for Green Bay last season. But once again, he's missed over 20 games in his young career. It worries me because he's dealt with a ton of injuries. Playing in all 17 games last year is great, but also it's a red flag because he only started in 7. This guy is coming in, and Pete Carroll is looking at him as his cornerback 1. There's a difference. If you want to use that as an argument, well, he played in all 17 games last year. Yes, he did. He definitely did, but he started in 7. And this is a guy that Pete Carroll was looking at as his corner 1, because all the talks are that DCAM and Porter are fighting for that corner 2 spot. Once again, Eric Stokes missed a ton of games in his young career. Durability has been a problem. Now you're pushing all your chips into Darian Porter, a 3rd-round pick that transitioned from the wide receiver position to the cornerback position not too long ago. You're also pushing all your chips in on DCAM, a guy that is only in year 2 in his career, that is making some plays out there early on at training camp, which is great. I believe in all 3 of these guys, but there's question marks surrounding that entire group. Greedy Vance, I'm expecting for him to play a big role. And we're going to go over this depth chart here in a second, you guys, because the depth chart just dropped before our game Thursday, our showdown up in Seattle against Pete Carroll's former team. We'll go over that here in a second. And I don't care, Raider for life, if Bennett wasn't going to make this roster, or if he was I don't care if Jakorian was our 4th best corner on this team, which last year he was our corner 1 in Patrick Graham's scheme, okay? I want to put something out there, you guys. People tend to think that Pete Carroll's system is totally different than Patrick Graham's. It's not. Yes, they look at different players in different ways, right? Yes, there may be some different communication and different language between both systems. Yes, Pete Carroll likes more of a lengthy, taller defensive backs. I understand that process, but their systems aren't completely different. If Bennett was the best cover corner in Graham's system last year, you mean to tell me that they couldn't find some type of role for him there? And then once again, injuries occur. What happens if 2 of these guys go down? God forbid. What happens? What happens? I mean, if the plan is now to go get a Rasul Douglas, a big body corner that fits the billing of what Pete Carroll likes, or, you go out and get another veteran guy, I'm okay with this, a James Bradbury, so on and so on. You're going to have to add another body to that room. But we're already thin at the cornerback position. You just brought in a few defensive tackles. You drafted a few defensive tackles. You have a few UDFAs that they're taking a look at very closely at camp. I just think that moving on from Jakorian Bennett, to me, a corner for corner maybe, or something. I don't really understand the thought process behind this. But once again, who am I, right? Who am I? I'm just a podcaster. I'm just a fan. I'm just a YouTuber. I definitely trust Pete Carroll. I definitely trust John Spytek. But it's okay, you guys, for me to say that I feel that this was the first mistake in the John Spytek era. I think it's a mistake. I like Jakorian Bennett. I think that he's going to become something really great out there in Philadelphia. If Howie Roseman wanted him, they're going to find a way to get him out there, involved in that defense, and he's going to become something. But we are thin in that cornerback group. I think we're a lot deeper at the defensive tackle position because we have several more bodies there at that position than we do at the corner position. Jakorian, they could have found a role for him. They could have found a role for him. And I understand, once again, you guys, I just went over this, and I seen somebody tweet this, that yes, we did bring in Brandon Hunt to be our new vice president of player personnel. Okay. I understand that former senior director of scouting with the Eagles, had a championship out there with them. I understand that he may know a little bit more about Thomas Booker than we do, than I do. I get it. But, we'll see. Only time will tell. Last night I was a little like, what the hell are we doing? Jakorian, we had probably the fastest DB room in football, you guys. I mean, Darian Porter, Eric Stokes. Jakorian's one of the faster corners in football. There was so much speed at that position. I understand that he may not fit the mold of this big body, lengthy corner, but you can utilize that speed. You can utilize those coverage abilities that Jakorian brought to the table. He's healthy now. I wanted to see what he can do, with coming off that shoulder injury. Look, this just sucks. It sucks to me personally, but it is what it is, man. Once again, I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust our head coach. I'm going to trust our general manager. I just think it's a mistake. That doesn't make me a pessimist. This doesn't make me somebody that is willing to just say, oh my God, the season is over. This is not me saying that Pete Carroll was a terrible head coach and John Spytek has no idea what he's doing. This is a fan, a podcaster, a guy that studies the game, just saying, I think that this was a mistake. And I think that this is going to come back to bite us in the ass when Jakorian becomes a really, really great player out there in Philadelphia. He is still very young, 24 years old. We gave up on him in year, 3? Coming out of Maryland. I just think it was a mistake. But it is what it is. We got the people in the building. We got the right people in the building, right? I'm going to take, this move as they know what they're doing because, once again, who am I? But I think that they could have found a role for Jakorian Bennett. And I'm hoping that Thomas Booker becomes something. I'm hoping that the word I got, from my guy, Marco, and that came from Lane Johnson, an all-pro offensive lineman that's played against him in practice a ton, that he'll be a future Pro Bowler if he has the right coaching staff around him. Well, hopefully we have that because, once again, I trust Rob Leonard, I trust Pete Carroll, and I trust Patrick Graham and those guys in the building. I also trust Max Crosby and Kuntz and those other guys, the Adam Butlers of the world, to put their arms around him and help coach him up player-wise. So we'll see. We'll see. Let me see. Let me get this dude out of here. Boom. Hold on. Salute to everybody here in the building. I don't know why this is doing this. Boom. All right. Salute to my guy, Junior, man. Morning, bro. Let's chat. Raiders. Salute to my guy, man, Junior, on the $10 special, man. Salute to my brother and the my father himself in the building, coming through with a $10 splash. Hug D's. I said it last night on Waste This Channel. Agent Zero got let go because his compete didn't overshine other corners. Trust the process and Pete and Spytek's vision. Pump the brakes, y'all. Look. Hug, love you to death, brother. And once again, I'm not questioning these guys and what they're doing. I just think that this was, the first move where I just didn't agree with John Spytek. I love the full draft class. I love what they did in the draft. I love what he did in free agency. I love parting ways with a third-round pick to bring in Geno Smith as, your quarterback for the now and near future. I'm okay with that. But it's, once again, it's okay, you guys, for us not to agree on everything. I don't like this move. I don't. But once again, Thomas Booker is a Raider. I'm excited to see what he can do. And if you guys get a chance to also go check out Baldy's film breakdown on Thomas Booker. It'll give you a little bit more, little bit more to for you to judge, on this young player coming over from Philadelphia. So he great Baldy breakdown on YouTube. If you guys get a chance to go check it out, and you'll be a little bit more excited about the pickup if you're kind of down like me on the Jakorian Bennett trade. Duke had high hopes for Agent Zero this coming season. Me too, man. Me too. Coming into the season, I thought he was going to be a starter, clear cut. But, it is what it is. I want to say this too, before I get to X's super. Somebody mentioned, and Graham, you are right. We needed a run stopper, and we got a decent one. This is facts. Definitely is going to help in the ground game. Doesn't get to the quarterback a ton, but he can definitely help against the run, which I'm excited to see. But somebody mentioned in yesterday's show, I got to mention this because I love when I'm wrong. I'm man enough to speak on it. Somebody said, do you think the Raiders will trade for a defensive tackle? Okay. I said, no. I said, I don't think there's a reason to. I think they like what they have in the building right now. And voila. Hours later, the Raiders make a trade for a defensive tackle. You love to see it. I wanted to put this out there because I forgot who said it in the chat, but I definitely have to give you some love and give you some respect because you definitely called it without trying to call it. You know what I mean? Because salute to you, man. Salute. X says T Booker will come in as our defensive 2. Book it. Okay. Hey, man, hopefully. I seen Sanjit mention something along those lines on Twitter as well, stating that he can come in and instantly be our defensive 2, or our second best defensive tackle, which I'm not shocked about that. I mean, you look, there's a lot of unproven talent in that room. There's a lot of unproven JJ Pegues, Tonka Hemingway, and then even with Tonka, I'm looking at this first depth chart, and I'm looking, and they have him as a defensive end right now. So only time will tell here, right? But they have him as a defensive end. So Tonka is not a defensive tackle up to this point, at least now for the time being. And I'm seeing people in the chat also stating that Lecky Fo 2 was in a walking boot. So there you have it. It looks like we have another situation where we're going to have to deal with another walking boot. And that sucks because I know that they had a ton of interest to see what he can do this upcoming season. A veteran, Fo 2, played for the Jets, played for the Cardinals. And they had him on this depth chart also, I believe, as the second defensive tackle behind Adam Butler. So a rotational piece up to this point. I know he was getting some work with the ones early on, but it looks like Max, Jonah Lalu, Adam Butler, and Coombs will be your starting defensive line initially, but Lecky Fo 2 was right there behind Adam Butler. So this may have played a role in why the Raiders made the move. So, yeah, looks like we got another Christian Wilkins situation here with these damn walking boots out there in Vegas, man. You hate to see it. I don't know what the hell is going on with Fo 2. I have no update, you guys. I'll make some calls and see if I can get any type of intel, but up to right now, I don't know. I don't know. Salute to X, though. Appreciate you on a $2 special. Chris, oh, that was me. Okay, so it was you, Chris. Got you, my brother. Got you. Well, you caught it. You definitely caught it, and I respect it. I respect it. Salute to my guy, Chris, on the $2 special. Let me see. Ron Justice, I didn't see anything on the Jacoby front. Let me check this out. Wipe them feet, y'all. Hit them thumbs up. If you guys are not subscribed yet, what are y'all waiting on? Hit that subscribe button. I'm not seeing anything in terms of Jacoby. Let me see. Just waiting. And I'm looking at a video right now. Jesse Merrick put it on Twitter. Yes, not bad timing to bring in Thomas Booker. Yes, Fo 2's in a walking boot out there at practice, and they're practicing outside today as well, you guys. So now it makes a little bit more sense of why they went and added another defensive tackle. So let me see. Host says Eagles, please. I'm trying to see what the hell Raiders beat put up there. They've been using a few of the shows. Okay, got you. Let me get that out of here. Get some questions in, you guys. Let's have some fun. Once again, we're going to go over the depth chart here in a second as well. There's some interesting moves right here. Once again, it's too early. It's only a few days before our first preseason game. This is not set in stone here, you guys. So let's not lose our shit early on. But we're gonna bring this up real quick. This way too early depth chart, because there are some interesting, just some interesting shit here. Let me see. Go to Raiders.com. Boom. All right, here we go. So this is our first unofficial depth chart of 2025. A few days before we face the Seattle Seahawks in our first preseason showdown up there in Seattle, man. So here it is, you guys. Dante Thornton Jr., the rookie out of Tennessee, our fourth-round guy, friend of the show. It looks as though early on he is a starter on one boundary opposite of Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker will be the starting wide receiver on the first unofficial depth chart, opposite of Dante Thornton, with Jacoby there in the slot. Offensive line, Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith at the center position, with Will Putnam backing him up. And then they have it Jackson Powers Johnson or Alice Kappa. I don't like this, man. I don't understand. I don't get this. Did JPJ do something wrong, you guys? Like, I'm trying to figure out, are they just trying to light a fire up under his ass? Did JPJ do something that we're just not aware of? From last I checked, he's been in the building. One of the first guys in, one of the last guys out with Max Crosby. You know, what is going on here? What is going on here? JPJ or Alex Kappa? Let me say this. I have Alex Kappa starting at right guard because I had JPJ starting at the center position. If JPJ doesn't start and Alex Kappa starts at right guard, we're in for a terrible, terrible ride. You cannot keep JPJ off the football field. You need to have the best five guys out there. If that's Jordan Meredith at the center position, cool. I'm okay with that. But JPJ needs to be the starting right guard if he's not the starting center. So it's just weird. JPJ or Alice Kappa. That's just weird to me. I don't understand. Something had to happen. I'm not here to start anything, but what happened? Like, there has to be something going on with JPJ that we're not privy to at this point. But backing up Dante is Colin Johnson, the 6'5", 6'6" wide receiver, San Jose's own former Bear. We'll see where he is in the grand scheme of things if he can make this roster. Justin Shorter, they moved him back from tight end to wide receiver. They have Cedric Jackson there and Ketron Jackson Jr. at the back end behind Dante there with one of those spots. To back up Colton Miller, easy. It's Charles Grant. They just drafted him in the third round out of William and Mary. That's a guy that will probably be the future at the left tackle position years down the line when we move on, or if Colton Miller retires or we move on later on down the line. Dalton Wagner there behind Charles Grant. Left guard, Caleb Rogers behind Dylan Parham. And then he got Gotti, and then they have Antonio Mafi there at the back end at the left guard spot. Jordan Meredith, Will Putnam, we talked about that. Jared Hufford behind JPJ and Alice Kappa, and then Laki Tassi is still there at the guard spot. So it looks like early on they're still having him, or they're still looking at him as an offensive lineman over being a defensive tackle. Right tackle, DJ Glaze, with Thayer Mumford backing him up, which makes sense. And then Parker Clements is right there behind Thayer Mumford. At the tight end spot, Brock Bowers, clear-cut the number one guy. Michael Mayer, clear-cut your number two option. But once again, you'll see Mayer and Brock on the football field together a ton. Brock will be lined up everywhere. It's going to be a ton of 12 personnel. Ian Thomas right there behind Michael Mayer, which makes sense. Quadir Ismail, I know him and Ian have been battling it out. Carter Runyon still there with Albert O coming over just a few days ago off the free agency street. So there you have it at the tight end position. Jacoby in the slot with Alex Bachman backing him up. Okay, so Bachman may find a way to make the roster. We're hearing good things about him early on at training camp. And then Tommy Malott, our sixth-round guy, right there behind Alex Bachman in the slot. Trey Tucker, Jack Besh will be the guy on the boundary behind him with Philip Dorsett, who's been flashing at camp early on, and then Seth Williams, and then Kawan Baker, the former seventh-round pick from the New Orleans Saints, who just came over in free agency, which I believe is a camp body. Quarterback, this is easy. Geno, Aiden O'Connell, Cam Miller, makes sense. This is interesting. Ashton Jeanty, number one. Zamir White or Raheem Mostert. Now, I'm not going to look too much into this, you guys. I know that Mostert has missed a ton of camp because he just had a kid. Salute to him and his wife. They just had a child. I know he's missed a ton of practices, so I'm not going to look too much into this. I don't think that Zamir is going to be that number two guy over Raheem Mostert. But, hey, if he wins that spot, great, right? He's a lot younger. He's still on a rookie deal. Raheem Mostert is 33, coming off of an injury last year in Miami. So this is interesting, though. They're still looking at Zamir as potentially that running back two behind Jeanty. From what I'm hearing, he's in great shape. He's flashed a little bit at camp, so that's great to hear. Maybe Zeus will find his way onto this roster. And then you got Sincere McCormick, and then you go to the bottom of the list, which is Chris Collier, which I'm hearing some good things about him early on at camp as well. And then Dylan, who's been getting a ton of special teams reps. And we've all said this early on that we feel like maybe, well, some of us, not all of us. I know a lot of people have Dylan not making his roster, but I still have him making this team because of his special teams ability. But it's interesting to see that he is pretty much sixth on the depth chart in the running back position right now. So only time will tell. We did move on from Kyle Phillips. I think that kind of helped Dylan Lauby's cause to potentially make this team. Philip Dorsett is still around. They can use him to return kicks also. And then maybe Tommy Malott can be utilized as a special teams guy as well. So keep an eye on Dylan right now. But from what I've been hearing, him and Cam had a nice rapport the other day at the scrimmage, and I'm hearing that he's returning a ton of kicks for us. So there you have it right there. With the offense, we get to the defense. Max, Jonah, Adam, Malcolm Kuntz, not a shocker here. They have Tyree at the defensive end position, so they've not moved him to defensive tackle. Ja Joyner right behind Tyree, and Jafari Harvey right there, fourth behind Max Crosby at one defensive end spot. Jonah Lalu, Zach Carter, JJ Pegues, Keandre Coburn at the defensive tackle position. Then you got Adam Butler, Leaky Fotu, who's in a boot right now, so we'll see where he is in the grand scheme of things, if he'll make this roster or how severe this injury is. Tank Booker, the UDFA, right there behind Leaky Fotu. And then you got Trayvon May. I always butcher his name as well. Then you got the other defensive end position, Malcolm Kuntz, Charles Snowden, who at this point is probably a lock to make the roster. I think we're really thin at the defensive end position. I don't like this. And there may be a reason why they're looking at Tonka Hemingway as a defensive end early on right now. So once again, if they're looking at Tonka as a defensive tackle, and then also Leki Fotu is in a boot, now that the trade is making a little bit more sense to me as to why they went out and got Thomas Booker, even though it still sucks to move on from Jakorian Bennett to make it happen. Andre Carter and then OVO right there at the end of that group with the defensive ends. Your starters on the first unofficial depth chart: Jermaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, Devin White at the linebacker positions, with Jamal Adams backing up Jermaine Pratt, Amari Gaynor backing up Jamal and Jermaine Pratt. The middle linebacker spot: Tommy Eichenberg backing up Landon Roberts, with Lindenberg and Michael Barrett right behind Tommy Eichenberg on the depth chart. Outside linebacker, Devin White, which is, I'm hearing great things about him at camp, with Jalen Smith, the veteran, right behind him, and Matt Jones, the UDFA, I believe, out of Baylor, right behind Jalen Smith on the depth chart. Darnay Holmes, starting nickel right now, with Greedy Vance right there behind him. Look, you guys, Darnay, salute to him. I know he's a veteran, he's been in the league for a little while, but from what we're hearing from Greedy Vance, the UDFA at the USC, if I'm a betting man here, I think that he may steal that spot at the nickel. They like Greedy Vance a ton. He's probably going to make the 53-man roster, and I can see him potentially starting there in the nickel. So, but right now it looks as though Darnay Holmes is the leader there, and they still have Harper at the safety spots, you guys. So they don't have him listed as a nickel corner. And then Caillou Blue Kelly, the young pup, right behind Greedy Vance and Darnay Holmes in the nickel. Outside corner, Darian Porter starting one of those spots with DCam right behind him and Sam Webb right behind DCam. Makes sense. Eric Stokes, then they have Jakorian. He's no longer on the team. So I'm assuming that JT Woods jumps up to the 2 spot behind Eric Stokes, with John Humphrey not too far behind there. The free safety, Isaiah Polamau. We knew that he was going to be a starter with Jeremy Chin at the strong safety spot, with Chris Smith backing up Isaiah Polamau with the Lonnie Johnson Jr. injury. Thomas Harper backing up Jeremy Chin at the strong safety spot. So it looks as though there's some moving and shaking here because of Lonnie Johnson's injury. We don't know how long he'll be out, get well, but there's some moving and shaking here with Hudson Clark behind Chris Smith, Trey Taylor behind Thomas Harper on the depth chart, and then once again, Lonnie Johnson Jr. there at the end, because once again, we don't know how long he's going to miss this upcoming season. And the special teams is easy, you guys. AJ Cole, Daniel Carlson, AJ Cole, with Jacob Boba-Moyer right there as a long snapper. Kick returner, punt returner, Trey Tucker. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's the starter there, with Sincere McCormick backing him up at the kick returner spot. Dylan Lowby 3rd, Tommy Malott 4th, and then punt returner, Trey Tucker, Ashton Genty, Alex Bachman, and Tommy Malott. So Dylan is not, this is too early, or unofficial depth chart. It's not even being looked at in terms of punt returner, but a kick returner, he's 3rd on the list. So we'll see where they go with this. But this is your first unofficial depth chart, you guys, for our Raiders going into our first preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. There's going to be a lot of moving and shaking. Things will change, and we'll keep you guys up to date with how this thing looks. So salute to Chris, my guy. Graphk, one thing I would say is, if you're going to trade for a DT, why not go after a good one? Or did they not want to give up much after Wilkins? Well, this is the thing. There's still a ton of question marks. Is he good? Philadelphia Eagles fans are saying that he's good and that he could potentially be great. They're too deep at that position there in Philadelphia. We know how deep that defensive line is, right? So to be determined. I still believe right now Jakorian is the better football player, but you never know. I mean, hey, he may come out here, get coached up, and become a nice he might carve out a nice role for us at the defensive tackle position. Too early to tell, Chris. Too early to tell, but it's clear cut. They didn't want to spend any draft capital to go out and potentially make a move for more of a proven commodity at the defensive tackle position. So we'll see. Salute to my guy Chris on the $5 smacker. Rooney, my brother, Wasted Talents in the building. Block party over for the day. Salute to my guy, man. No more blocking. This is Graphk channel. Graham says Thomas Booker is a baller. Hey, man, we'll see. We'll see. We will see. Dan says Kappa has papers on Spy Tech. How do you guys feel about this first unofficial depth chart? Let me know in the comments section how you guys are feeling about this. Mackey's, I mean, look, man, once again, who are we, right? We'll see. We don't get paid the big bucks to put this roster together. So only time will tell how this thing will look come week one. Hemingway is a missile, but what's crazy is that Booker is faster than him. Okay, talk that talk. Let me see. He's not a corner, Daniel. He's not a corner. He's a safety. So there's no need for a Justin Simmons right now. If you're going to go out and try to potentially bring in another corner, which I can see them bringing in, bring in a veteran. Go look at Gilmore. Look at Stephon Gilmore. Look at, once again, Russell Douglas. I don't know if he would want to come back to the Raiders. I know he was cut before, but he's a free agent and he's looking for a job. I don't think that he's going to hold this new regime, hold whatever the former regime did against us, right? So I'm looking at Russell Douglas, if possible. Bring him in and have him battle for one of those spots. Or potentially you can bring in a James Bradbury, a veteran guy that has some familiarity with Patrick Graham as well, with their time together shared with the New York Giants. So, but I do believe that we're not done at the cornerback position. I don't trust this room just yet. I like the idea of Eric Stokes. Definitely do. I love the idea of Darian Porter. Not the biggest Darnay Holmes guy, but I think we need some more help in that room. You look at the guys behind these starters, man. You got DCAM, which I'm excited about, but Sam Webb, Caillou Blue, Kelly, JT Woods, John Humphrey. I mean, what are we doing here, you guys? We need to go add another body to that group. And I don't think we're done by any means adding to the defensive back position. Raid says Asante Samuel Jr. is coming. Remember this? I mean, do you necessarily need another nickel corner right now? Do you? I mean, you already got, Darnay Holmes, you got Greedy Vance, you got Harper that can kick down into the slot. You got Chin that's going to play there. Isaiah Palomar that can play there. Trey Taylor's played in the slot before at Air Force. I mean, if anything, go get you an outside corner. Get you an outside corner. Oh, Dan, he's already spoken a ton about how excited he is about JT Woods. So it's not a shocker. Let me say this again, you guys. It's not a shocker that they moved on from Jakorian Bennett. I just feel like a lot of this rides on the placement of where he went. When Howie Roseman accepts a trade, you have to question everything. Okay, you have to question everything. Me and my brother Waster were just talking about this on the phone. It's like, if he comes calling for Jakorian Bennett, whoa, what does he see here? What does he see here? Now he's going to go out there with a great defense around him, a great defensive coordinator, a ton of talent surrounding him, and Jakorian's going to ball out. If he can stay healthy, God willing, Jakorian's going to go out there and ball. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm a little, confused by the move, But once again, to be determined. Ron Justice, look, let me say this. If that's the move, oh man, I will shut the hell up, bro. I will never mention Jakorian Bennett again if Pete Carroll somehow, some way went and finessed Seattle for Tariq Woolen. This is the last year on his deal. I don't know if they're talking about an extension up there in Seattle. So, I know Pete Carroll drafted him, out of the fifth round years prior and had him an all-pro in year one, led the league in picks. If that's the move, hey, look, man, Jakorian Bennett, who, right? Who? But, I don't think that that's the move. I really don't. But once again, hey, man, Pete is the DB whisperer. But if you're moving Jakorian Bennett, your best cover corner last year, and you're riding on Eric Stokes, a guy that's missed 20 games in the last 3 seasons, a rookie Darian Porter who only a few years ago moved to the position, and DCAM, a guy in year 2 who struggled last year being thrown into the fire. There's a ton of, it's just a question mark to me. Isaiah, I mean, who's not? I mean, bro, everybody's replaceable on this roster outside of Max Crosby and Brock Bowers and potentially Ashton Genty. I mean, let's just keep it a buck here, you guys. Everybody on this team is replaceable outside of Max, Brock, and potentially Ashton Genty. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. All-time legend, Mike Hilton went to the Miami Dolphins. He just signed over there when Jack Jones signed off over there. Yeah, right. But once again, that doesn't mean that. And who ran that defense? Who ran that defense? Who ran that defense? Patrick Graham. So, you know what? I'm going to bring this up real quick. I'm going to bring this up. I wanted to read this to the nation real quick. Salute to everybody here in the building. And once again, this is not me. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time, crying and complaining about the situation. Once again, I'm not going to do that, you guys. But I want to read, where is this at? Where is this at? Wipe them feet, y'all. Hit them thumbs up if you guys are not subscribed yet. What are y'all waiting on? I'm going to do... Let me look for this real quick. Not JPA football. What's the other one, you guys? It's on Twitter. They just tagged me in something. There was something. Okay, you know what? Let me find it on my phone. My apologies, you guys. I got to find this. I want to read this to you. Another reason why it's just tough to grasp the concept of moving on from Jakorian Bennett. Somebody tagged me in this. And I want to read this. Is it ML? It's ML. I believe it's ML football. There we go. Okay. I got it, y'all. Okay. Jakorian Bennett. Hell of a steal. The new Eagles cornerback, Jakorian Bennett, was one of the most underrated cornerbacks in football. His ranks among cornerbacks with 450 plus snaps. 0 TDs allowed last season. First. 176 yards allowed. Second. 18 receptions allowed. Third. 7 pass breakups. 62.4 QBR. Fifth in the NFL. Once again, with 450 plus snaps. I know he missed a ton of football last year with the shoulder injury, but I'm just speaking facts here, you guys. 37 targets. 10th in football. He is only 24 years old. Makes it a little bit more tough to grasp that. So, it is what it is. Let me unshare this. Salute to the chat. As always, appreciate you guys so much. Once again, we will be live again here in about an hour and a half, so stay tuned. Not leaving yet, you guys. Let's get a few questions in. Let's have some fun. Robinson, the thing is this. If he didn't start, I wouldn't have been upset. It was clear cut that he was kind of falling out of favor and not going to be a guy that was going to have a starting role. I just think that, he's too good to just move off of. With so many question marks surrounding that cornerback group, I just don't feel like, why would you move on from the guy that is probably was probably the best cover corner, at least right now, on that roster, regardless of his size or whatever. It doesn't matter. Let me see. Boom. Graphk, we're not going to miss him. Cool, Kev. Hey, man. More power to you, bro. Once again, the people that are in charge know what they're doing. But I am a fan of Jakorian Bennett, and I have the right to question the move because I feel like we're already very, very thin at that position. So it is what it is. Well, I mean, Robinson, honestly, if your true beef with the trade is because of that, you weren't going to never get a known commodity back anyways. I mean, you can look around NFL circles. Most people don't even know who Jakorian Bennett is if you're not a Raider fan. And that's no knock to Jakorian at all. But most people were questioning, who the hell is this guy anyway? So many Philly fans hit me up, hey, what do you think about this? And blah, blah, blah. So I don't think you were going to get a known commodity for Jakorian Bennett. Yeah, Frank, exactly. If Philly wants you should question it. Graham, my dog. JB made a big jump from his rookie to his sophomore year. That third-year jump is about to be ridiculous. Well, it was. I wonder, I wish I can be a fly on the wall in that room when they made this decision, because I wonder what Patrick Graham thinks about this. I really do, because, essentially this is Pete Carroll's defense now. I mean, when Pete Carroll came in, you guys, we kind of already knew that they were going to build this thing in the way he see fit with this defense. I mean, he was definitely going to overtake the throne from Patrick Graham. That's why I was kind of like, wow, Patrick Graham came back. You know what I mean? But I do believe that Pete Carroll is going to help Patrick Graham look a lot better than what he's been with the Raiders and help him find a head coaching position, maybe even next season. So, that may be the big plan in the grand scheme, right? But I wonder what Graham thinks about this. If Lane Johnson is saying Booker could be a possible Pro Bowl DT, soon I'll take Booker over JB every day. And this is the thing, right? Take it with a grain of salt, Loso. And once again, yes, my guy hit me up and told me this, and he spoke with Lane Johnson himself. They shot a commercial together. Salute to both those guys. But I have to say this. He's his teammate. So teammates are going to big up each other. They're not going to shit on each other. So this is coming from a teammate. I want to take his word as solid, and and Lane knows what he's talking about because he's had a great career, a phenomenal career. But once again, he's his teammate. He's going to say the right things about him, regardless if he's there or not. So I'm just hoping that what Lane said about him, that's high praise. That is high praise. Very high praise. You see. Well, Dan, I mean, this is the thing, man. They've all been proven, to win everywhere. I mean, Spytech got a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, right? We don't even have to go over Pete Carroll's resume. But, I mean, salute to Wasted. We talked about this on the phone, and he made a great point. I mean, because I said, look, John Spytech and Pete Carroll are not prone to make mistakes. I mean, honestly, and y'all take this how you want. Our head coach is still the same guy that had Marshawn Lynch at the 1-yard line, one play away from winning a second Super Bowl in Seattle, and chose to throw the football at Russell Wilson, which became a pick and one of the worst plays ever seen in football. So let's not act as though some of these, like these guys aren't. Everybody's not Andy Reid. Everybody's not Bill Belichick. All these guys are prone to make mistakes. Carroll made one of the biggest mistakes in football ever. And I'm not trying to bring up old shit, but it's just facts. It's just facts. So, once again, I'm not going to jump the gun here, you guys. It's not like we traded Max Crosby. We did not trade Brock Bowers. We did not move Ashton Genty. We didn't trade Colton Miller. Look, we traded Jakorian Bennett, a guy that was clear cut, on the outside looking in. So I'm not here to be pissed off about this. It is what it is. Derek, if you believe that, bro, I have the oceanfront property in New Mexico right now available for you for $12 million. That's Pete Carroll's team, man. I don't care if the offensive coordinator, that play goes through Pete Carroll. That is a head coach. That goes through Pete Carroll. You don't think the last play that can win you a Super Bowl, that offensive coordinator doesn't go, hey, Pete, what do you think about this? No. Pete Carroll has the last say with all that shit. So it is what it is. Hey, man, they got blown out, right? They got blown out after winning 3 Super Bowls. It happens. Bill Belichick has lost one as well. So, look, I'm not here to say that but all I'm stating is the facts here. You can mention a few things a few blunders that they've had, right? Yeah, you're not going to win every single one of them. But Andy Reid is literally he's won 3, and he went to one with Philly where he lost to New England. So, see, Ray, I know I'm kind of seeing what you do in this chat. You take everything that we say and then you just try to I know you're kind, Ray. I know you're kind, Ray. Salute to you, bro. Salute to you. Salute to you. I'm not going to really pay you too much more mind, but I see it, bro. I see it. You take every single thing that we say and then you try to flip it. We're not doing that. All I said was Pete Carroll is not an Andy Reid or Bill Belichick. It's just simple and plain. It is what it is. One has won 3 championships. The other won 6. One won 1, and then one won a national championship. And I'm not saying that Pete Carroll is not one of the greatest coaches of all time, because he definitely is. But let's not act as though you put him in that category with those guys. You can't. You can't. You can't put Harbaugh there. You can't put Pete there. You can't put Sean Payton there. You just can't. Let me see. So it is what it is. Went over the depth chart. Some interesting things there, you guys. Once again, at the right guard spot, to see Jackson Powers Johnson or Alex Kappa is kind of weird and kind of frightening at the same time. For me to see Jordan Meredith, it's clear, you guys, in which I am just blown away. And I love Jordan Meredith. This is no knock to him at all. I had him potentially being a starter on this O-line at the guard spot this year. But it's clear that they see him as a center, maybe because he's undersized and they just think that he could be a good center. Is what it is. I'll trust the process here. I'll trust Joe Philbin. I'll trust Brendan Carroll and Chip Kelly and those guys calling the O. But the Jackson Powers Johnson or Alex Kappa, that's a little weird to me. Alex Kappa's deal was a little bit of nothing, brought him in on a 2-year deal, coming off a nasty, terrible season in Cincinnati last year. I don't want to see or. Once again, maybe they're just trying to light a fire up under JPJ's ass. I don't get this, but that was the one question mark I had here. I like that they converted Justin Shorter back to wide receiver. I don't know if he's going to make this roster, but kind of interesting. Bachman backing up Jacoby there in the slot, being a second guy. Interesting because he's having a really good camp out there. I keep hearing that he's making splash play after splash play. Interesting. Trey Tucker starting punt returner and kick returner. Zamir White potentially being the running back 2 behind Ashton Genty. Okay. Tonka Hemingway being a full-time defensive end, at least just according to the unofficial first depth chart. We talked about Lecky Fotu in the boot out there at camp. And then, a few other moves. Jakorian was traded, so JT Woods is going to jump up in the depth chart. But moving Thomas Harper back to the safety spot, because I was hearing that he was getting a ton of reps there in the nickel because of the Lonnie Johnson Jr. move. You got to make some moves, right? But some interesting stuff here. Let me see. We get this off screen. Stop sharing. All right, let's go over to Twitter. I want to see a few videos over here and what's going on at camp right now. Once again, you guys, camp is underway. Raiders guard Alex Kappa isn't practicing today. This is coming from Jesse Merrick on Twitter. He's out here in a ball cap watching practice. So something to monitor moving forward. Maybe it's a veteran day off. It could be. Or maybe there's something there in terms of an injury. Maybe he's nicked up a little bit. But something to watch, something to monitor. Alex Kappa not practicing today. Let me see. Cam Miller out there getting some reps. A few videos out there. I wanted to show you guys this video. And once again, if you guys are not following Jesse Merrick on Twitter, do so. I think he uploads more videos than anybody when it comes to training camp. I'm going to share this real quick. I definitely hit him up yesterday and gave him some praise. But there you go, you guys. That's the video right now with Lecky Fotu out there in that walking boot at camp today. So once again, not bad timing to bring in Thomas Booker IV into the fold. So that may be one of the reasons behind sending Jakorian Bennett, which they were shopping for the last few weeks, according to Vinny B, for the likes of a Thomas Booker, new defensive tackle for our Las Vegas Raiders. Let me see. Skino, very excited about Darian Porter getting the early nod. So far, would like to see a nice amount from DCAM as well. Facts, my brother. Facts. Xavier says, I both Adoree Jackson and Ringo are struggling. Well, Ringo is been struggling, I think, really since he's coming to the league out of Georgia. And Adoree is a guy that has dealt with a ton of injuries, veteran guy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not shocked to hear either one of those guys struggling, to be honest. But I'll tell you right now, if they're struggling, bringing in Jakorian, a healthy Jakorian, is a great problem for Philadelphia to have. And I won't be shocked if they end up just, Cooper there at the safety spot, Jakorian still in one of those starting spots at the cornerback position. I would not be shocked at all. So to Michael, maybe Carroll didn't see a better option at right guard than JPJ. Could be. Once again, you guys, we can question the process as much as we want, right? It is what it is. But if they think that he could be an all-pro player at the center and guard spot, and they think that they can get more out of him at the guard position, so be it. But once again, I just think that this is a massive mistake because I think he can be the best center in football, potentially, at least a top 3 guy at that respective position. So we'll see, man. But Michael, salute to you. Appreciate you on the $5 special, man. Salute to the 900 people here in the building. Appreciate you guys so much. Daniel says, most people don't know this yet, but Wilkins' extracurricular activity started after a foot session with Weston. Oh, man. Martin, yes. And he will be on the show soon as well. He hit me up. He's trying to get as much eyes on what he is doing this upcoming season, and I definitely respect All In Autumn Wind. He's interviewed me before on his platform in Las Vegas. I'll see him next week. He hit me up and was like, yo, is it cool to pull up? I'm like, come on, man. That's a layup. So this year you will definitely see my guy Brian on the show promoting what he's trying to do. He's trying to break the world record, you guys, for most games in one season, which is like 33, 34. And I think he's trying to break it by like a crazy, like 53, 54 games. So it's kind of crazy. But yes, he'll be on the show soon to definitely promote what he got going on, man. Salute to my guy Brian, and salute to the great platform over there, All In Autumn Wind on YouTube. Definitely, man. Good dude. Brian's a really good guy. Yeah, L11. Telling you now, man, Philly got one. Fred Hampton, man, good to see you in the building, my brother. But yeah, I'll end the whole Jakorian Bennett situation, y'all. It's just, once again, you make already a thin positional group even thinner moving on from Jakorian Bennett. So I'm a little, worried that we're moving on from a talent like Jakorian Bennett. I do like Darian Porter a ton. I do like Eric Stokes. But once again, the durability thing scares the shit out of me, you guys. I know that he played in all 17 games last season, but he only started in 7. It's a different role when you're looked at as the cornerback 1. And he hasn't had to really play that role since his rookie season. I mean, he's missed a ton of games, you guys, over 20 games in the last 3 seasons. So it's kind of scary here to think that we're moving on, from a Jakorian when we have major questions with Porter in year 1 as a rookie. DCAM year 2, what do we really have with him? And then Stokes, a guy that has dealt with a ton of injuries. It's just it's worrisome for me. Vinny also mentioned that when Alice Cappa was in at guard, he was making the line calls. Could be an indication about the team's assessment of JPJ at the center position. Okay. I can see that. JPJ is most useful as a guard, pulling and smashing people for Ashton Jeanty. Hey, man, hopefully, Phil, you're right, brother. Hopefully you're right. I'm here for it. I love JPJ. That's one of my favorite players on this team. And I'm just hoping that he succeeds wherever he is. I just think, once again, he's better at the center position. And I think that he would tell you that as well. Actually, I know he would tell you that as well. But he's not going to turn down playing the guard spot and try to be combative, with the guys that know a lot more about football than he does. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Worrisome, Martin. I think you need to go out there and add another body to that group. Go get you a veteran guy. Go bring in Rasul Douglas immediately. I know James Bradbury missed a ton of football recently. Bring in a James Bradbury if need be. At least a veteran, leader in that group. Bring in a guy that has been there and done that and that's played under Patrick Graham before and kind of fits as well what Pete Carroll likes at the corner position. I don't know. I don't think he'd be a starter at all, but just bring in another body. Bring in somebody. Because if you're relying on those guys and then the Greedy Vances of the world, the Caillou Blues, it gets a little I'm hoping DCAM can take a massive step this year in year 2 as well. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Yes, we do need to be healthy going into Thursday night, Daniel. But more importantly, we need to be healthy going into week 1. So it's going to be interesting to see who all plays this upcoming weekend or this upcoming Thursday. My apologies, guys. Ruben is stupid. They need to trade Bennett to free up room for George Halani. Salute to my guy, Rube. Hilarious. Once again, you guys, we will be live here in another hour and a half with my brother Paul Duracell, NFL agent, star on the rise, has a laundry list of clients at the NFL level. He's going to come in today and talk about the agent-player organizational relationship and dynamic. I wanted to have this conversation, you guys, because we were talking about the whole Micah Parsons thing and Christian Wilkins having the same agent and so on and so forth. So I put some questions together. My guy's going to pull up here in another hour or so. So stay tuned. Hopefully you guys tap in and check that out. It's going to be a really, really good show. And I think my brother Waste is going to pull up and come kick it with us as well. So stay tuned for that. Salute to Lamar. Talk that talk, Graphk. Raiders. Salute to my guy, man. Lamar in the building. DCAM has a lot of potential. I hope he takes that massive step too. Facts. Let's hope Stokes stays healthy and can resurrect himself to the same level as his rookie year. This is facts. Facts plus tax, man. Chris, I will ask him next week. I'll be with him in Las Vegas for all the alumni festivities. So I'll get a chance to talk to him, and we'll go live from the hotel room as well. And you'll definitely get to hear a whole bunch of what Stu thinks about some of these moves that the Raiders have made recently. So stay tuned. But other than that, you guys, I'm going to make my sons some breakfast, get them situated for this next live. Salute to you guys. Salute to the chat. Once again, hey, Jakorian Bennett has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. It is what it is. We move on, right? We keep it moving. Hopefully Thomas Booker is a guy that can be one of those dogs that can be a Raider for a long, long time. Hopefully he finds some footing there at the defensive tackle position. It can help us because the Lord knows that we need it because honestly, there's a lot of question marks surrounding that group, just like the cornerback group. So hopefully Book can come in and help, get this situation intact at the defensive tackle position because we need a ton of help there in the interior of that line. So we'll see. But I'll see you guys soon. Another hour and a half. We'll be live. Once again, love you guys. On the way out, wipe them feet, hit them thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting on, man? Hit that subscribe button.